Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Alicia and I'm the owner of Alicia Be Creative. Today's video is yet another spooky tutorial. We're doing this It's Freakin Bats tumbler on this cute little rounded mug. And of course you guys know that I'm going to put all of the supplies and links that I use for today's products down in the description box down below, as well as any discount codes that I have for you to save a little bit of extra money. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's tutorial. So of course, to get started, we're gonna go ahead and get our mug prepped. So don't drop your cup like I just did, but we're gonna go ahead and get this rounded mug prepped for our tutorial today. And so this mug I got from Maker Flow Crafts. I will be sure to link and list the website down in the description box. These are 14 ounces in size. And again, they're the rounded style, but you can also buy the sort of camper mug style or the straight sided style of these kinds of cups from Maker Flow as well. So of course, we're just gonna go in with a sanding block and just get that surface all scuffed up, making sure to get the entire cup scuffed up from top to bottom, including that handle there, since we will be epoxying and glittering over that as well. Going ahead and then, of course, wiping this down with a little bit of 91% rubbing alcohol and a paper towel, or alternatively, certainly feel free to take that inside to wash with dish soap and water. Now on to our spray booth tent here. We're going to get this cup sort of spray painted the colors that we're going to be using today. So we're going for this like black and lavender style tumbler for this spooky theme today. And of course, we're going to use French Lilac from Rust-Oleum, and then we are going to just use a flat black as well from Rust-Oleum. I am starting with the Lilac, and we're actually going to put that on the bottom of the mug. So because I want my cup to have lavender on top and black on the bottom, and because we're making this sort of a reverse ombre style glitter tumbler, I have to do the opposite of that for my initial coat of glitter. That way, when we glitter all of this and then of course cover up the stencil work, we'll be able to put the colors in the direction we want them to and still be able to see the beautiful glitter that is underneath. So once I'm satisfied with that, of course, we're going to go ahead and get this prepped to add our glitter to. We're going to be using the Epoxy Method glitter application. I have a little bit of epoxy here that I was using for a drip that I was working on for another cup. So we're going to use just a little bit of that to, of course, add to the bottom of our cup, and we will spread that around evenly all the way around the tumbler here. So making sure that when you are doing glitter application using the epoxy method, making sure that you really take the time to thoroughly ensure that you are getting that epoxy all over the place. Unlike sort of like Mod Podge and other glues and adhesives, it's a little bit difficult if you miss a spot to try and then put a little bit of epoxy back there to then cover up again with glitter. So being really thorough at sort of the front hand of your application is really helpful. So the first color we're going to start with is Smog. Smog is from Peachy Olive Glitters, and it's a beautiful like titanium metal colored, I would say, sort of like medium cut glitter, and that's just gonna kind of be the base for the black section. We want a bit of sparkle here, of course, and you guys know that black glitter in its truest form doesn't always sparkle, so I'm making sure to use some glitters that really are going to sparkle and shine under epoxy. Going in on the bottom here, we're actually going to be using a color called Lilac. So Lilac was part of one of my Aisha Creations celebration bundles, and so unfortunately this is not a color that you can find in stock on her website, but you can certainly use something like Vervain, would be a really beautiful color over this Lilac, and I've used that lots of different times on my channel. That would be another color to sort of pick up and kind of replace with this Lilac color I'm using today. So I'm satisfied with the purple there, and then we're going to go in, and on the top here we're going to add shades. So shades is a really fine black mixed with a little bit of Diamond Magic as sort of the base for this glitter, and so it gives a beautiful sparkle and shine under epoxy, and this is going to be perfect to lay right over that smog that we laid down first to again sort of add and cover up all the black spray paint. Now I'm pretty satisfied with that. I've gone ahead and I have let that sit for about 30 to 45 minutes since I used a fast set, and then I'm going to get that on the turner and I'm going to do 2 coats of epoxy over that cup until my epoxy is completely smooth. Now that this is cured, we're going to go ahead and do our sanding routine here before we add our stencil work over top of this mug. So really making sure that I am working with a smooth surface is definitely something you want to ensure you're doing when you're going to be creating a peekaboo style tumbler, and that is because any lumps, bumps, or anything that's irregular in your coat of glitter or on that top coat of the surface of your cup is going to show through with your paint, and it's really hard to hide that unless you're planning on doing another glittering over top of your peekaboo section, if that makes sense. So since we're just doing paint, we want to make sure that we are working with a nice smooth surface. That way we don't have to worry about any of those bumps and glitter pieces that are sticking up, having that show through our final paint colors. Now I'm just going to take my bats here, and I've just cut these out of stencil vinyl. This was just an SVG that I found in Cricut Design Space, the images, and so I just grabbed that. I didn't even resize the file. It had a bunch of different sizes, which I thought would be perfect to be able to have different sort of sizes and layers of these bats all the way over the cup. So now I'm just going to spend the time to make sure that I get my bats placed all over the tumbler, and we are going to use all of these bats that are on here, and I'm just kind of taking them one at a time. You can use transfer tape, of course, if you prefer. For me, it's just sometimes easier, especially when they're bigger decals, just to peel them up and place them. But I'm just going to kind of move my way through the cup, ensuring that I am covering up most of this cup with the vinyl, the stencil vinyl here, because of course everything that is under these stencils is what's going to show glitter wise after we finish out spray painting this for the peekaboo. So I want to make sure I'm taking up a lot of real estate because of course I want to be able to see a lot of that sparkle and shine for the final project of this cup. So taking my time at this point, just making sure that I am placing my bats and not overlapping them, making sure that there isn't too many of the same size bats in one section. Really for this section or for this part, and again, you could do this with bats, you could do this with pumpkins, you could do this with a spider web. Any sort of idea that you have, this is just sort of the basis of how you would create your peekaboo style tumbler with whatever sort of stencil that you're going to be using or image you're going to be using that's going to create that peekaboo look. Of course, don't forget the butt. I always like to make sure I add a couple of decals to the bottom as well to, of course, include that and incorporate that into the peekaboo as well. So I'm satisfied with how this looks. I've gotten all the bats on. And the last thing I'm going to do, because I really don't think I want to sort of paint over my handle, is I'm going to take the time now to just cover up my handle with painter's tape. That way when I go to spray paint it, I don't get any spray paint on my handle, and we're just going to leave that as a glittered handle look just to kind of finish out our peekaboo cup. Now back to the spray booth here. Again, we're going to take those same two colors, French Lilac and that flat black, and we're going to do the opposite of how we laid them the first time. So we're going to put the French Lilac on the bottom over the black glitter, and then we're going to come through with the flat black and we're going to lay that and ombre that directly over that lilac glitter and those bat stencils and create that nice fade of black up to meet the lilac towards the center of the cup. So short spurts here. Remember, the closer you get to your cup, sort of the more of a more paint you're going to get on the cup. Farther away, you're going to get a much wider fan of spray paint. So play with this when you are sort of, spray painting your cups. And that way you can sort of control the amount of spray paint you're getting onto your tumbler. Closer, obviously, for more precise and precision, and farther away when you want more of an ombre or fanned look. So now we're back and our paint has dried. I'm going to start by just removing all of the paint off of the handle first, exposing that beautiful glitter, and then we'll get into just very quickly removing the stencils from the remainder of the cup here. So nothing too crazy here. You guys have seen me remove stencils before. I always prefer to use stencil vinyl over like removable vinyl. I find that stencil vinyl for me just removes a bit cleaner when I am doing a peekaboo style cup. Now, if you wanted to, you certainly could glitter over this right here if you wanted to have a glittered look on top. But another tip that I've always mentioned is, and you've seen me struggle when I haven't done this, is to add like a glue dot or something that's going to help you find that stencil later so you're not struggling so much to try to pick up those stencils when you are done with glittering. So we're onto the turner because I just wanted a painted base for my peekaboo, and we're going to go ahead and mix up some fast set epoxy. So this is the Flynn Sisters fast set epoxy here, and I'm going to mix up about 30 mLs, but that is only because I'm going to be placing the rest on the other cups that I have on my turner here. But I'm just going to use probably less than, definitely maybe 10 to 12 mLs on this cup solely for this coat. Again, our coat or our tumbler is pretty smooth, so I don't need a whole lot of epoxy. I'm just going to do a very nice even coat, making sure that my coat of epoxy is not too thin that obviously I can't move my gloved hand over that sort of smoothly, but enough epoxy that I don't have to worry about too much pooling because I have too much. So I usually go anywhere, especially for this size cup, anywhere from like 10 to 12 mLs after my cup is pretty smooth here. So once, of course, I have done my epoxy coat, we're going to get into doing our final decal. And while we are waiting for that cup to cure, I wanted to show you guys the Teck Craft sort of vinyl paper that they sent me. So they sent me a bunch of different vinyl paper to use in my last batch of Teck Craft items. And so I wanted to show you guys these. I haven't yet used many of these on the channel yet, but I wanted to show you what they offer. I did show a clip of this in one of my tutorials, I think like last month or so. And so I wanted to show you these because we are going to use one of these sticker papers today to be able to do our final decal here. So they sent me a bunch of different ones, and I'm going to show you kind of what those look like. This is the mixed hollow pack. So this has the holographic sticker paper, but it comes in different styles of holographic, and I really can't wait to figure out how I want to use that for a tumbler tutorial. I'm still kind of thinking up some ideas, but that was one of the papers they sent me. They also sent me, which I'm going to show you next, a glossy sticker paper, which would be great. Just like printable vinyl, I like to use the glossy sticker paper for. It really does work really nicely and really well anytime I've used that kind of sticker paper. They also sent me a glow in the dark vinyl or sticker paper. And this one I think I'm going to use on like a glass can or something. I don't know. I'm kind of toying with the idea, but I love the idea of a glow in the dark paper for like a vinyl work on a tumbler. And then this is the paper I'm going to use. I'm going to use the matte sticker paper. And the reason why I prefer the matte sticker paper is because I don't have to worry about, for the most part, my my hands creating any smudging, and I won't have to seal the paper to prevent my ink since I'm using an inkjet printer from smudging. Now, I went ahead and I just opened a Google Doc and I created and printed the decal that I'm going to be using. So this It's Freakin Bats decal is one that I created using Procreate. And although I don't have it listed yet in my digital shop, I do have a very similar SVG that might be helpful to use. It is another It's Freakin Bats one. It's just a little bit bigger that you could use in place of this. I will list this at some point. I just have not yet had the opportunity to. So definitely be sure to check back to my digitals page over on Etsy to see when that gets listed, which should be sometime this week. So I cut the decal, or I sized the decal on my Google Doc in 2 different sizes, because when you're working with a rounded mug, what I certainly find is that you have to really play with the sizing, because you're trying to put a rounded or, an irregular decal around a rounded surface, and it's not like working with a straight-sided cup. So as you can see here, I struggled a little bit here. I ended up getting a crease in my sticker, and then because I pushed so hard and my hands clearly must have been a little bit wet, it actually smudged my ink. So here I am trying to salvage this, and kind of at the end just deciding, nope, this decal isn't going to work for me. So I had used the larger one first, hoping that that might be good, but it wasn't quite what I needed. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to cut the smaller decal out. Now, both of these decals were under 3 inches. I think the first one was like 2.5 inches, maybe a little bit longer or wider. This one is just over 2 inches wide. So play with the sizing. I always print multiple decals when I'm going to be working on a rounded mug, because I always struggle with rounded mugs because, again, they're not as easy to obviously place decal on like a straight-sided cup. So we're going to go ahead and go with this decal, and this one was much more successful here. So I'm going to take my squeegee and starting on the inside and moving my way outward, go ahead and let the squeegee kind of do the work for me and press down that sticker paper to very nicely go down on the cup. What I love about this sticker paper though is that it is super forgiving. So not all sticker paper is like this, where you can very easily peel up the sticker paper and be able to place it back down. And that is something that I really did love about Teck Wrap's sticker paper, is that I was able to really manipulate this and not have to worry about my decal ripping because I was peeling that back up from that smooth surface. So I love how this looks, and of course this is the final look. That cup goes back on the turner for 2 final coats of epoxy, and then of course this cup was good. Look at that beautiful shine. Literally, if you pay close attention, you can actually see my reflection. That's how shiny this is. But I hope you guys loved today's tutorial, and if you did, give this video a huge thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!